So many of the lessons we learn about having great days come from people in our lives. And certainly, one of the people in my life who taught me about having great days was my father-in-law, Vic Alexander. Now, Vic was a quiet, soft-spoken man. He didn't have very much to say, but when he did, it was either pretty funny or he was very wise. Just as an aside, Vic came to hear me speak one day. He had never heard me, and he came to an event very much like this. He was the only man in the room, and of course the ladies made much of his presence and had him stand up. And when he stood up, he said, "Well, I feel like an onion in a petunia patch." One of my father-in-law's favorite sayings is one that became a favorite saying of my husband that he would repeat, and he does repeat still, over and over again. Don't let your short-term problems get in the way of your long-term goals. When our oldest son was in middle school, he started playing tennis, and he was pretty good. We were giving him some lessons, and what he really wanted was to be able to play on the tennis team in high school. But in order to do that, he knew that he was going to have to practice a lot, and he was going to have to play with people who were a whole lot better than he was. And so every Saturday morning, Adam and my husband Ken would go out to play tennis. And every Saturday morning, the result was the same. Adam would come in the back door, and he was furious, on the verge of tears. He was so disappointed because he couldn't win. He was mad. He was mad at his dad, he was mad at himself, and he would threaten just to give up playing tennis. He would go to his room and slam the door, and that would be it for about an hour. Now, as the mother, what do you think that perhaps I did? I would take my husband aside, and I would say, "Honey, couldn't you just let him win every once in a while just to keep him encouraged and keep him from quitting?" And my husband would say, "No, because one of these days, he's going to beat me fair and square. And when he does, that will be a very important day." Well, sure enough, one Saturday morning, Adam came in that back door, and he was beaming from ear to ear. He had finally beaten his dad, and of course, no one was more pleased than my husband. Now, he quit playing tennis with Adam after that. He didn't want to play anymore, but has that ever happened to you? Have your short-term problems ever gotten in the way of your long-term goals? Have you hit bumps in the road and detours? Sometimes we just kind of got to figure out a way to keep on keeping on, even when we don't feel like it. Adam still has a faded yellow tennis ball with the date of that memorable Saturday morning on it, and he keeps it as a reminder that, sometimes you've got to keep fighting. And it's a great reminder of his grandfather's words: don't let your short-term problems get in the way of your long-term goals.